Up, you guys just tuned into another episode of the Invisible Ladder. I have an extremely special guest here with me this evening. She's actually a colleague of mine, also a good friend. Um, did some phenomenal things. Her story is just one of a kind. So without further ado, I want to introduce you guys to Nabi.
Hi.
So what's going on?
Chilling. Try to work 24/7.
Working 24/7.
Pretty
Okay,
much. Yeah.
cool. So let's get some background. Where are you from?
So I'm born Greek. I'm 100% Greek. Well, actually, I did a DNA test, so I'm not 100% Greek. I'm half Turkish, half Greek. But I was born in Greece. My family is Greek, and I grew up in Germany.
So would you take one of those like ancestry things?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was like a Mother's Day gift.
Look, they freak me out. I'm not gonna lie to you
No.
because I just hear things. People probably think I'm a conspiracy theorist, but
Of course
be
you are.
taking DNA
Oh,
and
you
doing
definitely
all
are.
that stuff, and I'm like, no, they ain't get my blood.
Your doctor already has it,
They ain't
though.
get my blood. Nope. My doc can have it. They ain't getting it.
Okay.
So, but yeah, so that's cool.
Yeah.
When actually did you come to America?
2006.
Oh, so it's actually not really that long. I mean, a
Almost 20
decade.
years.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, almost 20 years.
Is it? I mean, do you feel like it's a major difference?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. What? I mean, what do you? What's the like? What's one of the biggest things that stood out? It's
I'm
probably a
trying to
lot.
stay polite.
No.
No, it's definitely a lot. You can't put it like in one sentence, but it was definitely a huge culture shock because I came from Germany, which is like a Western, industrialized like country. So it was just a extreme culture shock just coming here. Everything was very dirty. The houses weren't like you see on TV.
Right.
It was just very different from what you see on TV.
Right.
Yeah.
So look, don't believe everything you see on TV, guys.
Right,
It's
like
just
I learned that really
a lot
quickly.
of misperceptions
Yeah,
and things
absolutely.
like that.
Absolutely.
Cool. So what are you currently doing for work at the moment?
So I'm a realtor agent with Redfin,
Okay.
and I do that 7 days a week.
Prior to you becoming a agent with Redfin, what were you doing?
Well, just right before that, I had lost my job.
Okay.
COVID hit, my company went bankrupt, and pretty much had let everybody go. So I was sitting home. So at the first year of COVID,
So you were out of work for over a year.
yeah, pretty much 1 year straight, 1 year, yeah.
Wow.
And before that, I was an account manager for a health company, and before that, I was a manager in retail.
Mm.
So I was always working, but like that 1 year of COVID hit like really hard.
So I'm gonna tell you guys how we actually met. We had a mutual friend, right? And she wanted to get into real estate.
Yeah.
I met you. I gave you all the information. Right. That was that. A year later, I'm in the burger spot, and I'm like, she looked familiar. Like, hey, what's going on? Did you ever get into real estate, right? And at the time, this is when you told me you had lost the job.
That specific that day, like I literally got let go, and we went and had lunch.
It's so funny how God works. Like I do not believe in coincidence. Like how is it that the day you actually lost your job,
Yeah.
I run into you?
Yeah.
So I actually still doing real estate, give you the card, tell you what I was doing because obviously I'm in real estate as well. And from that point, what happened after we reconnected? Um, in terms of like the whole journey of getting into real estate.
Yeah, I mean, we had talked at the burger spot about like literally what you're doing and how easy it would be to get into it. So we stayed in touch. I asked you how I would get my license, how hard it would be because I got ADHD. So I told you like I can't sit in no classrooms. I can't do the college route. Like, please let me know,
Right.
what I gotta do to just get this over with. And you had helped me. You told me the websites I gotta go to. How much it would be, how much time it would take, and you kind of like pushed me, just like, just go sign up, just go. And I kept procrastinating because I was just really scared of starting school again. That's
Right.
really what it was,
Right.
like my age and just starting all over again and going back to school and studying and taking classes. That's really what, kind of like drifted me away. And I kept procrastinating, and you just go ahead and do it, just go ahead and do it. And you asked me every day if I was doing it. And you
Listen,
kind of got on my nerves.
this lady was like my sister. I literally called her every
Yeah.
morning, and I'm like, "Did you study
Did you
for
do
the?
it?
Did you take part of the test? Did you like consistently,
Yeah.
right?"
Yeah.
And then I never forget the day you was like, "Yo, I passed my test." I'm like, "What?" So then put in a reference, right?
Yeah.
And then you got the job within, or you got
It was
with
like,
the brokerage within how
yeah,
soon
I
was it?
think because it was, I passed the end of December, and I think by the end of January I was in. So like, yeah, within like 4 weeks.
Okay. So 4 weeks, you're in. You're doing real estate, right? I think I want to say it was like the third month. I um I had called you and asked you like, how's everything going?
Yeah.
And if you don't mind sharing
Yeah.
with the viewers, yo, she a beast. She was hungry. You were hungry. You
I
were
was
on for a
hungry.
whole
I was-
over a year.
Yeah. I was home,
So
and I'm not gonna lie, I'm not used to not working.
right.
So I was home. It was COVID, watching TV. Like I gained a lot of weight. I got depressed. I was just stuck. I like thought this was it. I'm getting old. So like getting back into that grind, I was so hungry, and I was out of the house, and I did not want to come back in the house.
Right.
I was like constantly on the road, and within like the first 3 months,
That
not
the-
even
the-
3 months. It was
the-
like 2 weeks because I mean the COVID and
Right. No, what I'm talking about is when you called me and you told me that number. Do you
right.
mind
That's
sharing
what I'm
that
trying
number?
to say. I was like, it didn't even take that long because of course real estate was at a high,
Right,
in
right,
that
right. It
COVID
was in the
year.
peak. It was
So
going
everybody
crazy.
was like, going nuts. And I took full advantage of it. So my schedule was open 12 hours a day, 7 days a week, and I made 4K every 2 weeks, 4,500. So at least like
Like
eight to nine.
8 to 9.
Yeah, a month.
I think the third month, because man, you were in competition.
Yeah,
You remember that? It was like
definitely.
they was doing the little incentives, and they was
Yes.
like, after the second house,
The third-
after the third
house.
house, they give you $100 per showing, right? So me and her, we was in competition.
Yes.
And that third month, you smoked me. Yeah, I was like, you had made like 10,000 the
Oh,
third
yeah.
month, right?
There was no way. I mean, you had other jobs though.
Still
I
though,
was-
though.
I-
No, I was
I
the
had
star
to-
though. I was the star. I was the star when we used to have the Christmas
Yeah.
parties, right?
Yeah.
Every time they would go around the room, she was like, "Yeah, this is Ben. He's the
Yeah.
superstar,"
I'm
you know.
sorry.
And you came in and just
I just took
and
your
took
place.
took my belt.
I just took it.
So a year prior, no job,
Yeah.
at home, depressed, gaining weight, didn't want to take class. Fast forward, a year later, making 8,000 a month. By the third month, you're hitting 10K. We dreamers. That's what we do.
Yeah.
So we was talking about goals, and then one of the things that you had mentioned. What were some of the goals at the time that you had mentioned?
So it was definitely a new car.
Okay, what
There
kind
was
of car though?
The Mercedes,
Okay, what color?
black.
Black. All right.
Yeah.
And what else?
And it was getting investment properties and just getting on the side of real estate into investments and starting flipping and keeping houses and rental properties and just taking advantage of that market.
Okay, so you had those dreams and goals.
Yeah.
How long after you set those dreams and goals were you able to attain those, working
Right.
with through real estate?
So the car was literally the end of that year. I got the car.
That's
I
crazy.
got the Mercedes. But it was like, long time ago, like childhood dream
Right,
kind of
right,
thing,
right.
growing up like poor and stuff like that was my car. And then the investment property was a year and a half later. So last year in June, I got my first investment property, and I'm actually getting ready to sign on my second one in the next couple of days.
That's amazing.
So
That's amazing. I mean, for the people that are looking at this podcast, I want you to know that if you have a goal in mind, anything is possible. You just have to put forth the work ethic, because that's what
Pretty
you
much.
did. Like
Yeah.
you got people that talk, but you have people that are actually
Yeah.
doers, and you went out and did the work. So you go from not having a job for over a year
Yeah.
to getting involved in real estate, buying your dream car
Yeah.
by the end of the year. And we're not talking about an old one. She got the new one, y'all. She got the new one, all black Mercedes. And then a year later, you have a Airbnb investment property.
Yes.
That is amazing. That
Yeah.
okay, yeah,
But
that
it
is
takes a team. It's definitely not all me. I don't want to be like, anybody can do it, because it definitely took a team. I have people that, watch the kids or like help with the household. Like, you need a team behind you. Like, people say, oh, I can do everything on my own. No, you can't.
so you are married. How many kids you have?
I have two.
2 kids. Okay. So let me ask you this. How was your support system when you were going towards your goals in terms of the real estate and the investment properties?
Yeah.
How talk to us about that? Like, and you can be because I want. Hey,
It was, like I said, people talk a lot, but then when it actually comes down to the actions, it's hard, because when people are used to being, for you to be home at a certain time, when you have the regular 9 to 5 kind of, jobs, people are used to you being home, taking care of certain things. They're used to you being home on the weekends,
Right.
those kind of things. Once that is gone, and I'm just like, really, okay, my kids are grown, everything takes care of itself, and I'm just gone constantly. This is when you really see how people are really supporting you, right?
right.
Yeah.
So reading between the lines,
Yeah.
it's kind of, and I know a lot of households are like this, where you have one person that is the entrepreneur,
Yeah.
and then you have one person that has the more of a job mentality,
Yeah.
if you will. So it can be very difficult when you have two people with two different mindsets, and then
Absolutely.
they don't really understand because they can't see the vision.
Yeah.
Okay. So you have these dreams, these goals, aspirations of things that you want, and then the support system is like, I don't know if that's gonna work. But while you were going through that, what was it that caused you to kept going? Like, even when you didn't get, I guess, the best support, or the
I wouldn't say it was the best support. You gotta be patient, because the other person, right, has to understand, and you have to help them to understand. So you can't be impatient. You can't just push everything on them and expect that,
them to
to
see the
accept
vision.
it immediately, right? So it's a lot of conversations, a lot of, helping them to understand, see the progress, the process of it all, and the work you gotta put in. Like, it's not like an overnight success,
Right.
So that's really what helped. Of course, in the beginning, it was like, oh, you're never home and this and that, which is totally understandable. But then once they see, okay, the progress that you make, and the work that you put in, and how much pride you take in it, and how much better you feel about yourself, then, their mind changes with it, kind of, hopefully.
Yeah, that
For
makes
me,
sense.
it did.
No, that makes sense. That makes sense. So,
Yeah.
so for those that are in relationships, and that may be married, what advice would you give them? In terms of, like, if they have a goal or a dream, and their person doesn't see the vision. Is
Yeah.
it what is it just to, like, be patient, or
Absolutely.
okay?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
absolutely a lot of patience. Don't be aggressive with it. Be very understanding, and I mean, it really comes down to it. Women, we do it all. So you have to be understanding. You have to be patient. You still have to run a household. You still have to take care of the kids.
Right.
And you still have to be a wife or a partner, a girlfriend, whatever it is. You gotta make time for everything. It just is what it is. If you want everything to work, you gotta have a certain time cut out for everything. So even though I worked 7 days a week, I still, like, on the weekends, made sure, okay, I only work from like 12 to 5, so we can go and have dinner and movies together, or we can go and have breakfast together. Like you gotta squeeze it in.
Making some real good points, and I hope the viewers are paying attention because I think there's a false perception of what a good relationship or a marriage looks
Yeah.
like. I think a lot of people they have this false perception that everything is just always good,
Yeah.
right? It's just happily ever after. You're in la la land and nothing goes bad,
Right.
right? Um, so that's a really good point that you make. So would you say it's like everything's always good across the board?
Of course not.
Are
Of
you
course
wearing
not.
your like magic slippers and
No, of course not. It's just with any other relationships, just with friendships. You have arguments, but once the steam is out, you sit down and you talk about it and you find, solutions, and you got to talk about what you don't like and what you like and how to fix it and how to compromise. You're not ever going to be like on the same page all the time. It's impossible. It's two different individuals.
well, as far as I know, men are supposed to be psychics. like like I mean it's I'm being honest, like I feel like a lot of the
Yeah.
times we are expected just to know what's on your mind. And you made a very important point. Like, if you don't communicate with a person, then we don't know
Yeah.
how to address that problem. So
Yeah.
communication is a key element to
Absolutely.
having a fulfilled long relationship.
Absolutely.
Also, it's not just communication because we can be communicating, but if I'm not listening to everything you're saying or
Yeah.
trying to understand what it is that you're trying to get through to me, we're gonna keep bumping heads,
Yeah.
right? So that is a very good point that you made in terms of communicating. And but the other thing you said was making time. Like, even though you have all this other stuff going on, you're still making sure you tend to your husband, to
Yeah.
your kids, and doing the things that are necessary, even when you don't always feel like it.
Yeah. There is plenty of times where I'm with the family and we're doing something and I'm like, I could be making this much money right now. So it's like you have to learn to flip that switch because it's not fair to your family, right? It's not fair to your kids, to your partner, even to your friends. If you hang out with your friends, you have to make sure that you're in the moment, that you enjoy the moment, that you're listening, that you're paying attention. And I don't say it's easy. Like I really, it was a lot of times had to just stop looking at my phone, stop looking at the possible appointments I could have had, and just keep the phone in my purse, and be in the moment because it's just not fair.
Do you feel like media, social media, the news, celebrities, things of that nature have a great impact on people's mindsets when it comes to marriage and
Yeah,
relationships?
yeah. I think it has a big, big, big influence on it. Yeah,
In what way?
and mostly in a negative way. Mostly in a very negative way because, and I think it's mostly the younger generation. Of course, like my generation and older, they know better, but everybody has like that picture of what it's supposed to be, right? And there's like what I think is most women, they want to be all entrepreneurs and everybody wants to be independent and make all their big own money, and they're thinking, oh, I just have to do this overnight and it just pops up real quick, and then I get this perfect man and he still pays all my bills and buys my car and takes me on vacation while I independently make all these other careers. And I'm like, you're living in la la land, like. But this is social media. They're selling like this perfect dream, and it's no. It takes years and years and years of work to get to that point where you're that independent and that successful, and also to be in a relationship where it's that successful. So it's so much work that they don't show on social media, which they don't have to. But don't be that naive to buy into like a couple pictures and a couple reels.
Right.
Like
Wow.
yeah,
Wow. Are you guys hearing this? Ladies? I didn't say it. She said
I'm saying
it.
it.
She said it.
I'm saying it. Yeah.
She said it.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So, do you think like men should pay all the bills, or like what is your thoughts? What are your thoughts on having a balanced relationship? Is it
Yeah.
a man should pay all the bills? Are there certain things a woman should do, or certain things a man? Because like I hear different things like, oh, he has to be, tall. He has to make six figures. He has to, he has to do X, Y, and
There
Z.
is so many different levels to it, right? So a woman that says he has to make six figures is usually a woman that already has her own life together. If a young, teenager, young in the 20s girls say, oh, I want a man and make six figures, then she kind of like has to ask herself too, okay, what am I doing? Why am I expecting that? Do I already know this kind of lifestyle? Am I already having this kind of lifestyle? Do I make my own money like that? If not, usually in that age group, you're building together. Like
Right.
you're meeting, you're dating, and if it gets serious, you start to build together. Like I've been married for 22 years. I was a freaking supervisor at McDonald's. All right? Like, yes, I was paying my own bills and I had my own little apartment and stuff, but I'm not going to be like, oh, I need you to have six figures when I'm barely making, 1,000. Like, come on.
So unrealistic expectations is what it is right
Yeah,
now.
but like I
in
said, it
terms of-
depends on where you're at in your life, right?
Right.
Like, everybody has their own standards, everybody has their own goals. For me, it worked like, I wouldn't say like the typical, stereotypical like marriage thing. Like I always worked, but I was still like a housewife and took care of the kids, and I don't know if it's because I'm Greek and that's kind of like in our culture how I grew up, but that's just what I did and I was happy with it. Some women, they're not happy with it. They want to work full time and then come home and have their dinner cooked. Like whatever works for them as a couple. I think that's again go back to communication.
Right.
You have to communicate what you expect and what both people in that relationship, are cool with at the end of the day. Like I said, for me, it was fine to do most of the household, to do most of the, taking care of the kids, and I was happy with that. And I was even a stay-at-home mom for the first 2 years because that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to raise my kids,
Right.
and not every woman is okay with it. So it depends what
So
they're cool
I
with.
and this is my I read a lot of books. My personal view on it is that um men and women gain their happiness in different ways.
Yeah.
And this is my personal opinion. I believe that men gain their happiness in life by going out into the world and creating. If a man doesn't create anything or do anything great, then he won't be fulfilled. I believe, and this is my personal opinion again, I believe that women get their happiness by creating a family. When a woman has a child, when she's able to nurture her children, be there for her husband, be that support system. That's I feel like that's where she gets her ultimate happiness by creating family. So I think it's really understanding and having a balance in what each party should do in terms of roles. I think we really forgot roles, and I said this in one of my previous podcasts. Is that, like I said, God said that when a man goes out, creates, and does something great, he's going to give him the perfect helper. Helper meaning to assist. A woman can make, you heard the saying, behind every great man is a great woman. That woman helps the man to become a better version of himself. And ultimately, she's going to benefit from that as well. So that's just my take on it.
You go right ahead with that.
I mean,
You're
what is your what have you gotten your greatest joy from?
Real estate.
Real estate.
Of course, my kids and raising
Right.
them and blah blah blah. But
Right.
like they're adults now,
Right, yeah.
So right now it's really, like you said, for a man's choice to go outside and create. This is what I love doing.
Right.
I love being outside and I love working with my hands and I love to create. Like I'm literally having steel toe work boots in my car, measuring tapes, drill. toolbox and everything, but in the end of the day, I still can go home,
Right.
be cute as shit, cook dinner, and be with my husband. Like, I like to do it all.
Oh.
I don't have a box that I like to fit into.
Mm-hmm.
And luckily, I have a man who also doesn't mind cooking dinner, washing clothes, and mopping the floors when I'm not there to do it.
Right. So
You
y'all got
know?
that balance.
Absolutely.
Y'all got
We
that
have a great
balance.
balance when it comes to that. Yeah.
But he also, like you said, at one point you were a stay-at-home mom.
Yeah.
He had created that polarity of masculine and feminine
Yeah.
energy in the household because he was taking care of everything, which ultimately allow you to be in your full feminine essence, to
Yeah.
feel safe, to feel love, and be able to
Absolutely.
trust them, right? So I think that's what it really boils down to. I think when you have women that's like, yeah, I'm independent, I can do my own thing, which I'm rooting for you. Like, I love a woman that could, you know, she doesn't need me. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Like, I love that. But ultimately, I think for a man, what we want is not just your independence. Like, a man that's doing something great, he doesn't care so much about that. He cares about the feminine aspect that you
Yeah.
can bring into his life.
Yeah.
You follow what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Would you agree with that?
No, I agree. Yeah.
Okay.
I do agree.
So yeah, I mean,
That's, but again, this is what I'm saying. Like on the beginning, women do it all, you know. And for my relationship to be happy, and I see it in some others too, you you gotta have you really gotta have the heads for like all things. Like you gotta be feminine, you gotta be the hard worker, you gotta be the mom, you gotta be the wife. Like, we have a lot more going on than really y'all do.
you think?
It's really, I know it's a lot of pressure on y'all as like the caretaker of the family. You know, it is a lot of stress. I know it is, because if you do have you know, like the stereotypical things, like you said, you know, the being the wife and the mother and stay at home and this and that, and then you have to take care of all the bills of the whole family, you know, and everything. It's a lot of stress, especially nowadays where you regular jobs, you don't cover, you know, all the bills with a regular job. The rents are high, the mortgages are high, car payments, childcare is high as heck. You know, just all of that is a lot of pressure on the man. So I think it's in your best interest to both people work and you support each other, you know.
That's a good point.
But
So back then it used to be the man goes
yeah,
out,
it
does
was
all the work.
easy.
But
It was
now the
easy.
dynamics have changed.
Yeah, you can barely afford it.
And even when it comes to earning, like, I'm a backtrack because, you know, when we talk about the 6-figure man,
Yeah.
I did some research now. I did a little bit of research, and realistically, only 11 to 18% of men earn 6 figures, right? If you want to talk about black men, that number drastically changes.
Yeah.
We go probably below 8%,
Yeah.
right?
Not according to Instagram.
No, you're right. You're right. So realistically speaking, I think a lot of good guys, good men actually get overlooked
Yeah.
in that regard because they don't earn,
Yeah.
you know, high incomes and things like that.
Absolutely.
I think it's not. I don't think it's just about the money,
Yeah.
and that's the conversation that needs to be had because you know, as a man, we have other skill sets. Like if you can build, right? If you could, you know, I don't know, cut the grass, wash the cars.
Right.
Like it's other things that you could do
Yeah.
to offset the money part. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's difficult. It's
But
difficult
again,
out
it
here.
depends on the female, right?
Right.
What she's expecting. So I think a lot of women in this newer generation, they're not built to wait. They want everything right now and fast. I don't think they're ready to, you know, see the potential in a man and build with him and wait for the growth. They want it right now.
And that's a good point that you made because to piggyback on that, oftentimes men don't reach their highest peak until after their 30s.
Right.
So like in those younger years, and I tell men I've made videos, I've made posts. I think men should ultimately focus on becoming their best version.
Yeah.
You know, not getting into anything serious. If they want to start a business, start the business because they're going to need to fill that business with action and focus.
Yeah.
right? And then when it's time to be in a long-term relationship or get married, they will have built something sustainable to be with the woman and support the woman and children that they want to be with. What's your thoughts? What's your take on it?
Again, it depends on the situation. I think if you find a good woman young and you can build together, you can be so much more powerful because you have somebody in the corner always supporting you and
But
having your
that's just the
backbone.
thing, though. We look at the Instagram. Your man is over here working hard.
Yeah.
He's trying to build. She doesn't see the vision.
Yeah.
She sees this carrot over here dangling.
Then she ain't the one.
And
Then she ain't the one.
Hey,
But if you got the right one, I'm not against dating or marrying young. If you got the
I'm
right
not against
one,
it. Some people absolutely defy the
Right.
odds. I got a homeboy, like, he in real estate. He multiple six figures, wholesaler. You know what I'm saying? He got 2 kids. His wife don't have to work, right?
Yeah.
But how many stories go in that direction? How
Of
many of them?
course.
And I think that's the reason why divorce rate is so high as well. People getting married too young and haven't built a foundation. Like, you gotta think about it. You come out of high school, you like 18, 17, 18, right? You go off to college, you still partying. You really haven't even stepped into your full responsibilities until you close to 30. I mean, you might have an apartment or something, but like it really don't set in of like, oh, all right, this is what I really want to do with my life, or now I got a career. You see what I'm saying? So like I feel like if you get married or get in a serious relationship earlier on and you in your 20s, the odds are kind of against you, especially in these times.
I give you a different scenario.
All right, go ahead.
I think when you meet up young, you start building together young. You get to know each other. You
Everybody
learn
not
young.
that got that mindset.
No,
though.
not everybody, but I'm saying, there's also that option out there, right? You grow together, you learn together, you build together. Because people that wait till they're in their 30s, and I have friends that in their 30s, never been married, never lived with anybody, and it's so much harder now to find a serious partner because you have these high expectations, right? Like you already achieved this much, you make this much money, and you stuck in your ways. You lived alone, you did this, you did that. So you already got like your own little traits, how you wake up in the morning, how you go to sleep, like these little, like
Right.
these small
Right.
everyday things you do, right? So it's hard to let somebody in that. You know what I'm saying?
Right. No, I
So
got
if
that
you
makes
grow
sense.
with somebody, you grow together. You know each other habits. You know each other's, likes and dislikes, and kind of like everyday moves. When you wait till you're in your 30s or sometimes even late 30s to be like fully grown, it can be so much harder to find a partner because you're already stuck in your ways and you already have your
That's
mindset
true.
something and
No,
so
100%.
specific.
I agree with that. The problem is here in America, I feel like women want the finished product. They don't care. Like,
Yeah.
statistically speaking, and this is based on numbers,
Yeah.
I would say 50%. Yeah, it's over 50%. 50% of people that you and I know that get married will get a divorce.
Yeah.
And it's gonna be it's probably rising now
Yeah.
because of, like you said, the social media, all the things that are being put out there in terms of what people perception are, how marriage and stuff should be.
Yeah.
And 73% is initiated by women. So what does that say?
What does it say is women are more successful than men nowadays.
Yeah, that's true.
So
I mean,
they
yeah,
don't. What used to
but
be,
why are they divorcing?
but because what used to be the holdback for women, I don't know if that's an English word. Sorry, but like what used to hold them back
Right.
was that they were dependent kind of on that on the men. Even if the women were working, but they weren't making enough to live on their own, to pay rent, mortgage, take care of childcare, et cetera, et cetera. So a lot of times women were like, okay, let me, sit in this and just write it out and stick it out and make it work because it was a fear of not making it on your own. Nowadays, women are way more educated. A lot of them make more money than the men. They're way
Right.
more driven than a lot of the men. a lot of them are just way more successful than men. So it's like, I don't have to deal with this shit. I really can like pack my shit and leave.
Okay.
So times are very, very different. And then if you're in a regular relationship, it's very easy to be like, get the fuck out of my house, because most of the time it's the women that own the house nowadays. And then the other way around, if they're married, is they don't feel like putting in all that work no more. So with marriage and just dating is two different things. When you're married, is you gotta keep putting in the work, even when you're
Okay.
tired of
So
it.
are you referring to marriage, or are you referring to just dating?
So with the dating, like I'm saying, the women, that it's just easy to leave.
Yeah.
They don't have to put up with that
Right.
shit.
No, I agree with that. Yeah.
I mean, I don't say it's like super easy, because you still, maybe love them or some, but it's like you don't have to put up with that much no more, because they make the money, they have the careers, they have the degrees and everything. In a marriage, it's different, because a divorce is just so much harder, right? Like, it's just so much harder. So you keep thinking about it 3-4 times. And sometimes, as long as love is still involved, it's always worth working on it. No matter how fed up you are and how tired you are. And of course, sometimes love is not enough. But before it gets to that point, it's always worth to keep working on it. Because ain't shit out there.
Can you say that part again?
Ain't shit out there. Like, have you seen it? Ain't shit out there. Like, just make it work.
So women are making emotional decisions to leave, and then realize that, you know what, I should have just worked it out instead of
Yeah.
starting. I mean, and I'm not saying like all.
No, no, no.
Yeah, it's not in all cases.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
For
Because
women
like,
that like to be in a relationship, for women that like to be married or be in a relationship, when they see what's out there, like when you see your single friends, or just like, your work colleagues talking about their dating life and stuff, you're like, you know what I got at home might not be that bad. Let me just work it out.
right.
Because it's rough out here. It's really rough.
Tell you a quick story. Was going through my journey. I went to a restaurant in Colombia, and I was indecisive about where I should go at this particular evening. It was a Friday night, so I flipped a coin and I asked God. I said, "Direct me to wherever I should go."
Okay.
It was Busboy Poets,
Oh, wow.
or it was Lock Bar.
Okay.
And so I flipped the coin and it landed, so I was directed to go to Busboy Poets. So I get to Busboy Poets, the bar's packed, and I'm like, well, damn, this ain't gonna be fun. They set me in the very back, up against the wall, between two women. One of the ladies, she was probably in her late 50s, the other one maybe in late 40s, but she was with another lady. They were talking. You sit at the bar so you can socialize.
Right.
So I sit down and I'm talking to the lady, and she's like, we both figure out that we both are in real estate. She was like, yeah, you're young, you got a lot of wisdom. Are you married? Told her I was divorced. And she was like, yeah, I've been divorced for 6 years. She's 50 something now. And she said, I've been trying to get my husband back for the past 3 years. And when I tell you, this lady literally had tears in her eyes. Like, I was just like, wow. And I feel like God has sent me there to give me the message that, kind of like what you said, the grass is not always greener on the other side. You know what I mean? And that goes for men and women.
Yeah.
I think a lot of times people think, oh yeah, I'm gonna get out of this relationship, I'm gonna find something 10 times better. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, you could just go replace a person. You can't just replace people. I mean, you can get a new person, but everybody,
You gotta retrain them.
but everybody, in my opinion, has their own unique characteristics that you cannot replace. A Bentley is a Bentley, a Ferrari is a Ferrari. They're both very nice cars, but the Ferrari is never going to ever be able to beat a Bentley, and a
Yeah.
Bentley will never beat a Ferrari. You follow what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so like just to make the point is like you can't just replace people. You know what I mean? So like you said, sometimes it is in our best interest to say, you know what, maybe it's something that I'm missing, or maybe it's a lesson that I need to learn, or some traumas that I need to heal. Maybe I can fix
Yeah.
this with my person, opposed to looking at the media, looking at television, thinking everything is going to be smooth
Yeah.
when it's not.
Exactly.
So yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree.
So moving forward, like I know you got the marriage, everything's going good with that. You got your dream car, you have the real estate going. What are some projections that you have for the future?
So what I'm trying to do is, I told myself last year I would like to have at least one investment property a year, like one a year, and now I'm moving towards like at least getting like two a year.
2 a year.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, Phenomenal story. Closing out, is there anything that you would say that could encourage people that have a dream, that have a goal, um, and just they kind of can't see it? Kind of like in the beginning where you were, you was just like, I'm
Yeah.
not going back to school. Like, do you have any advice or encouraging words that you could tell the viewers that are aspiring to do something great?
I would really say don't let the outside world pressure you. Do it on your own time, on your own terms. Don't feel bad if it takes you a year. Don't feel bad if it takes you 2 years, as long as you get it done. Do it on your own time. Don't let outside people get into your head. Like, do it.
Receive. So I want to congratulate you on all the success that you're having in business, relationships. I want to thank you for
Thank you.
coming to the Invisible Ladder, sharing your story. As always, I look forward to seeing each and every one of you at the top, because you absolutely deserve the best. Real Talk Ben. Peace.